Hello, everybody, and welcome to Big Mike's Big Competitive Corner. This is episode one, The Art of the Full Send. This is a new series I'm doing, sort of how everybody else is doing. I'll get to that in a minute. But maybe some competitive talk, maybe some not so competitive talk, maybe some analysis talk, maybe some not so analysis talk. Just something more. I want to use the words serious when it comes to my videos, which I don't have many videos, but for those who do watch some of mine, they are more lighthearted, in my opinion, and meant to be comedic more than anything else. I like to laugh. I like to make other people's laugh. But we got the glasses on now. I don't know how many my videos I wear my glasses. Actually, I rarely wear my glasses, only when I'm at home like this playing video games at night because it's bad for you, or when I drive at night, so on and so forth. My vision's not terrible, but I have them prescribed as a just because, according to the eye doctor that I went to. I think they did it for money, but who am I to blame them? So when I have the glasses on, we got to be a little more serious. That's all I'm saying. Now, all in all, this will still be lighthearted. Um, as you could tell, it's a little dark. It's mainly because I'm making this at night, and also the AC at where I live kind of isn't doing its job right now. I'm not saying it's completely out, but we're getting somebody to check on it. It's just not doing its job. Um, Living in North Dakota, you get to see the two extremes. So, for instance, we see negative 30 in Fahrenheit, which is freedom units. And when we don't use the freedom units for you Celsius users, that's more like negative 30, 34-ish, I believe. So pretty much the same. But then we get up to 95 today in Fahrenheit, which for the Celsius users is 35 Celsius positive. So if you can imagine the two extremes I mentioned, in Celsius terms, I went from negative 34 to 35 in a little over 3 months, give or take, because February it was negative 30 and now we're at 95 today. Um, this is the evening. It is warm in this household. I'm keeping the lights off. I'm in my underwear. I put on a shirt for this video. I don't care how messy it looks behind me. I will be sitting back so I will look darker. I'm closer to the screen that way. I'm visible right now, but most of my talking will be back here. Enjoy the video with me, I hope. I hope you can learn some things, maybe change your mind on some things. And the number one thing I want to do, and I want to get this out of the way now, this is very, very subjective. This is not, I think the word would be objective. I'm not good with words. Mike can't read. We know the memes. Um, this is opinionated. My opinion. I know I'm not 100% right. I know I will have people disagreeing with me. And that's fine. I love the disagreement. Let's talk about it. That's the point of these videos, if that makes sense. So, without further ado, let's get it started. All right. And I think, as I mentioned, there's a fan behind me. So if you hear that once in a while, I apologize. It's just really doing it God's work, keeping me cooler. So let's get right into it, shall we? Why am I making this? It says, I'm sort of tired of people, in my opinion, mistake what the game considers full send. Something I see a lot is, well, that's a full send character. Well, this character is a full send character. The only way to win this is by full send. I'm kind of mentioning this here now. Tempo, aggression, full send characters are not good because exhaustion is key to the game. I think we're seeing that kind of warp change differently on purpose from a design point. We can get into that at another time. I'm not trying to um, talk negatively about the designers of the game at all. I love the Restoration Crew. I don't know if you guys watch my videos, but this is not a negative shot at you guys at all. I'm just trying to put a different perspective on thing for the players. Um, had a few friends. They've said that somebody should talk about this. Like, why do we always say that XYZ character is full send and they're not that good because they're only full send and this and that? If nothing else, I hope a discussion comes from this and opens some people's eyes to another opinion and maybe even make you think, huh, he does kind of have a point here. But at the same time, maybe you all will be like, hey, nah, I'm not changing it. But that's okay. That's what opinions are for, right? We're meant to disagree. We can still be lighthearted and disagree. I believe in that. Also, a lot of folks like Siki, I'm not good at tagging videos, but Siki made a video, and I'm sure you can look it up in the UML. I'm sure you can, it'll be maybe on the side of what to watch next because, algorithms. He made a wonderful competitive videos. I believe three of them minimum, if memory serves. And I thought maybe they will watch mine as well. I don't want to go over what he just went over. That's kind of trying to step on toes. I think that they were amazing. I think they got the viewership they deserved, which was higher for what I would consider a normal, unmatched viewership. And he deserves every bit of it. Siki, I love you, man. I'm glad we are where we are. I hope you keep making videos because those were incredible. Also, I know I do a lot of lighthearted videos. This is to go kind of not 100% away from that. I think I always want to keep the lightheartedness and comedy in it somehow, but a lot less like this is meant to be comedy. Big Plays with Big Mike, meant to be comedy. Defenders Resolves first, when I used to make it, which is a story on its own I'll bring up another time, I hope. Um, Meant to be comedy, lighthearted, and analytical, and just all about Unmatched. And we love doing it. And that's its own story for another time. What is Full Send? Well, Full Send was always what I think considered a style of play. And to a point to where my friend Darkblade 113, yeah, I'm gonna use you like that. I said 113. I don't know what you want to be called, Zach. That's what I said. Made these wonderful seasons of Full Send Friday, which I'm the main co-host with him. I hope we can sometime get back into that. I would love to. Zach's a very busy man, especially with doing Judging for Swoo. I know I go all over the place and I rant in my videos. I apologize. It's just ADHD. I don't know. It's just how I do things. I don't even know it's ADHD. I just say that because it's cool to say that as a millennial. Um, Full Send Friday season one, Full Season Friday season two. We basically just slap each other around. Don't think about what's in our hand. And then when we see certain cards, we had to play them. It's the regroup rule, which means every time we saw regroup, we had to play it. Certain characters don't have regroup; they have a regroup rule card, so on and so forth. Um, but the basis of it is that you don't care how competitive this is the best way to win. You cared that you saw cards and you bash face. In essence, that was the term of it, and we're going to get into that a little later. So that's what is Full Send. It's basically a term, in my opinion, to describe how gameplay is done. So, thinking about how Zach was a big influence on why Full Send was a name for this video, obviously, and how everybody mentions Full Send, I started to ask a couple people, most of them friends, about what they thought. Actually, they're all friends, let's be real. Some of them are family in my term, but mostly friends. And let's see what they said. Mr. Kiet, I said, what is your definition of full send and unmatched? And he said, full send is just going in most of the game, throwing what you have, most of what you have, but be considerate of the different things in your hand and the potential crackback. Then he also have matches listed as Dave level gameplay. Sorry, Dave. We're not doing this because we hate you. You lose most of the time, so just go in like a dumb shit and throw everything you have and pray. I put him first because this is probably the one I most agree with. Um, in a funnel, I agree with everybody's statement that they give me. You'll see in a second. But this one has a lot of like great summary, great all that, um, and it made sense when he said it so eloquently and in short terms. Um, Next we have Angel. I said, "Hey, Angel, what do you think full send is, and maybe even tempo?" I kind of changed the question for him because, for those who don't know, Angel and I had this conversation in a DM once, and that kind of what started this whole thing as a whole. Was were kind of both in a group chat and also in a DM, but also in a voice chat, and listening to people talk about, well, this is a full send character, and then we were watching another section comment in, I believe, the UML server kind of talk about this is only a full send character. This is how they play. And I like DM'd him at the same time, even though we were in the chat. So I didn't want to annoy the other people in the chat. Saying, do you really think this? And he's like, no. And we kind of actually had the same idea. And I think he writes it out really well here, which is full send is blindly attacking with the highest or coolest looking card in your hand. Tempo is carefully choosing the moment of aggression and spacing out your opponent by positioning to force boosts after attacking or using specific cards to set yourself up for an advantage position. For tempo, that's probably the best definition I have. I wholeheartedly agree. And aggro is choosing your attack sequence wisely to pummel down your opponent hand and prevent getting punished because you made the right combat choices. I think tempo and aggro are blended when looking at this description. And this is not me saying, himself or even Kiet are wrong. I'm not trying to pin them against each other. I'm just trying to blend it to where my own version is. I'm trying to absorb information and shit out my own opinion. I know I curse a lot. I apologize, but I'm going to spit out my own opinion, if you will, and see what's the. This is just what I think. I think he's right in a way. I think full send is blindly attacking, right? Your highest or coolest, like, oh, I have beast form. I'm going to attack with beast form as Dracula. Where everybody who plays Dracula, the what I would consider correct way, I'm putting quotes up here really close so you can see that I'm quoting. The correct way is to kind of will your opponent down with exhaustion, and then okay, I have you checkmated because you're either have only at 4 health and your feint is gonna die to beast form, or I have enough cards in my hand where if you don't feint, I'm gonna drop my hand on you with my beast form and you die anyway. Um, Full Send says, I saw Beast form in my opening hand, therefore I attack you. Or you do the Gary special, which, for those of you who don't know the Gary special, it's put a sister to you on the first starting space. I call this the Gary special. You ping the sister for a card, you mist form, and then you ambush them turn one. So you essentially on your first turn, ping the sister, get a card, mist form next to them, ambush them, and then hit him with the beast form if you got it. He always he did that for a while. Very effective if it both goes off. Also, if you don't get it off, like if you do that exact sequence and it doesn't go off properly, you've almost lost the game immediately. You've almost lost the game immediately. Um, and then that brings up another question: is full send bad? We'll get into that. Next is Siki. Said, what is your definition of full send and unmatch? He said, attack every turn. That's it. Brother, you had like an hour video of competitive unmatch and you just hit me with the attack every turn. Thanks, I guess. I didn't send that, but I thought it. That's not negative. I'm just joking with Isiki. I get what you're saying. He did the shortest possible answer to hey, this says it. Like right? Like it's the shortest possible answer. I attack every turn. Makes sense. You're right. That is full send in a way. Um, and possibly in its most condensed version is the answer. Um, love you, Siki. I didn't mean that negatively, all that, but it's great. I love you, bro. Zero Skater 12. What is your definition of full send and unmatched? Being a competitive bungus. Oh, never mind. Being a complete bungus and pressuring the opponent till they collapse, and you make sure you just don't die to the counterplay they put out. I don't know why that was so hard to read. Maybe I have dyslexia. Um, Essentially, being a complete bungus, hit them, make sure you don't die when they hit you back because you have good defenses, so on and so forth. Um, I love you, John. I also have to be complete honest with everybody. He's the only one I didn't actually message. I made this part up. But I thought, you know what? If they hear me say this stuff came from Zero Skater, it's got to be honest, right? Like it's got to be real. How cool would that be? John's like family to me, man. We talk daily, so I just want to mess with him if he actually watches this. That'd be hilarious, though, if he actually answered like this. I did think if I was John, what would I say? And I know Bungus would be a part of it if I said asked him what full send was, but I purposefully didn't ask him and added him to the video. Um, and I just got a chuckle out of that. I'm sorry, I did have to add a little joke. So there you are, John. I think he would say something along these lines. So be a bungus. Full send. Bungus gameplay. He likes the word bungus, and I do too. All right. Moving on. Now that we've asked them, where do I stand on this? Full send is therefore I have card, therefore I attack. We saw that kind of as a progressive, everybody said this kind of thing, and I think in their own way I've said this. I agree with that. There are characters that are like this. We will get into that next. There are characters who I think fit this bill who aren't meant to fit this bill. We will get into that next. Then there's tempo, which I think is most of what people consider the full send characters fall under, in my opinion. Um, it's more so I know what I must do to win. I will time the effectiveness of my cards or attacks or whatever, and when my window comes, it will be relentless. That is a Wrath reference. What a loser. Um, I joke about that. But no, Wrath's really good. Relentless is a hell of a card. That's all I gotta say. Uh, so why aren't these two the same? Well, I hope to get into that with when I explain the characters. And also, you're going to hear me go back and forth a lot on these characters on why they're in their certain tiers, and I'm going to be kind of flipping through, I think, each slide because there's three slides left on the where the characters fit and why they do this. Um, why isn't I have card, therefore I attack the same as I know what I must do to win? Like, what if I know what I must do to win is I have card, therefore I attack? I don't have a great answer for you, but I hope explaining the character dynamic as I go through them each. And I'm hoping to not make this a super long video. It's probably already long as it is. Actually, it's already at 16 minutes. I was hoping to keep this at a 30-minute, but it might go over a little bit. I apologize for all that. I try to not make my videos super long because I don't want everybody bored. Unless maybe make a comment. If you want a longer video, I will make longer videos. I can deep dive if we want to, but I try not to because I think people get bored after too long of videos. Again, ranting on the side, I apologize. This is the first video series that I'm going to try to not edit at all. I'm trying to just go through it all at once. So, yes, here we go. Full send characters, in my opinion, and why. I'm starting off with this slide because the next slide and the slide after that, you're going to be like, well, these characters fit into both of those. I don't disagree, guys. I don't disagree. But I think at their heart, this is what they're meant to be. Bullseye. This character, when you play against him, what's the first thing you think? You think, I'm going to get attacked a lot. At least I do. Let me rephrase that. The first thing I think is, I'm going to get attacked a lot. Can I survive that? He has a wonderful ability that, as we know, within 5 spaces, ignoring zones, he can attack you. Wonderful ability. He has cards that let him gain actions. He has cards that lets him ignore value. He has cards that pump up his numbers. He has draw. He's got everything to say. He has literally everything to say. I'm going to fight you, and I'm going to win. And for the most part, I think there's only one card in his deck, and people can correct me. I'm not trying to bring up everybody's deck right now, and I don't have the greatest memory on decks. He really only has the highest, at least base, but I think he has one defense that goes to a 6, but his highest defense is a 3. He's got 2 feints, which is below the average of 3, and then all his defenses are 3s. And I think one of them is if you won the previous combat, yours is now a 6. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's a purple. I forget what it's called. It's not That's Why I Always Win. It's something else, but I even could be wrong about that. I don't know why I'm thinking that. It's just what's coming to my mind. So why doesn't Bullseye have this extraordinary win rate? Because his highest defense is a 3. You could say the same about Shredder, but Shredder has inherently different gameplay completely. We'll get into that in a second too, I think. But um, his highest defense is a 3. If you're able to pressure him back, he feels disgustingly bad. But if he's able to just chuck all of his junk at you early, especially early, and then have his draw scheme really early, he feels unbeatable. The guy can beat Sherlock. Like he just feels that way. Like I can beat any character in this game. But his low health pool and his low amount of his low defensive value kind of balances him out around that. And if you try to play a long game with this guy, if you try to be like, oh, I'll maneuver and I'll attack you, I'll maneuver and I'll attack you, I'll maneuver and I'll attack you, you're going to let your opponent have the defenses to deal with all that. You're going to let the opponent garner their hand better to deal with you and then clap you back. Versus, as we saw, I believe it was in a recent tournament. I don't know which one. I'm all the tournaments kind of blend together in my head. I apologize for that as well. I don't have the greatest memory. I'm sorry, guys. I'll be honest. Um, we saw in a tournament recently where I think it was DLME versus Hammer. Yeah, DLME versus Hammer played Bullseye versus Yanenga on Venice. I believe Hammer had the Bullseye. DLME had the Yanenga? I'm not sure. But I believe Bullseye won because he just chucked it all. He just said, this is it. This is it. I'm fairly certain that's how it went. If I got it wrong and Yanenga actually won, I'm going to be looking so dumb right now. But I'm 90% sure that's how it went. I myself was in a tournament where I played against Medusa I purposely chose the item map, 3-move item map, Sanctum Sanctorum. I literally did that. I did not stop. I had no defenses in my hand half the game because anytime I drew a card, I threw it at him. And what I tried to do was get to a point where I had my scheme and I just threw everything at him. And I won because Medusa wasn't able to attack back because I was full sending it. I saw card, I threw card. I attacked every turn. I attacked twice a turn when I should have probably maneuvered away because what if Medusa pings me, hits me with a gaze? I lose immediately. Sometimes faking that you have the defense is as good as the defense is because your opponent's afraid because they know your game plan is I'm going to throw everything at you. And now you have cards to also defend, and then you're still going to throw shit at me next turn. It's terrifying. And that's where we get in next to T Rex, who could honestly fit well into the third slide. But I put it here. T Rex has an inherent design of I will draw one card at the end of my turn. She will exhaust out. She has 27 health, self damage, and she exhausts out because she has no cards. Well, so your opponent's sitting at 13 cards in deck, you're at 2. And you're like, oh, shitey. This is not good. But part of the great advantage of T-Rex is I'm 2 spaces away, I can attack you, and I can hurt your hand with ripples to get next to you. And I have 4 action gain attacks. And I have 3 cards closer than she appears that makes an action gain so I can attack. It's literally throw the kitchen sink. There are times where the only defense I consider T-Rex to have is terrifying roar so I can attack you next turn. I know she has shift. I know she has the one. I know she has thrash. Thrash sometimes can be a defense when you think that they're going to hit you with something big. But even thrash is better on offense, right? Because you're throwing a 2, and they're like, okay, you're throwing probably your 3. I'm going to feint it. Well, your thrash is feinted. That sucks. Let's say they throw a 4. Well, then like a skirmish, for instance, like Bigfoot throws a skirmish, even though it's a Bigfoot favorite matchup. This happened to me. Bigfoot threw a skirmish. I threw the thrash on offense because I thought, why not? Um, the 2 purple, I boosted with the 4 boost to make it a 6. He wasn't able to leave the zone. He got the damage on top of that, so he took 3. Very hard to do against Bigfoot. Which also gets me into another part of the full send, and why these characters are full send. A lot of these aren't going to have the greatest win rates, so they have to play that way to win. And we're going to get into that on the third slide. That is the characters on the third slide, and that's why I said a lot of these are going to blend, and you're going to wonder why are we even talking about this because they don't make a lot of sense here. Well, they kind of do, in my opinion. Michelangelo, his kit makes him kind of going into the third slide, which I know I'm saying that a lot, but it's because I've already made this, so I've already trying to justify it without you guys have seen it yet. I apologize. Um, Michelangelo is very much I have 3 cards in hand, that is my size, but when I attack, I draw a card. He wants to just throw the kitchen sink at you. Angel, I know you're disagreeing with me right now, and that's okay. This is just what I think. I'm not saying I'm right. What I'm saying is a lot of the people do think this. I'm one of them. If you throw the kitchen sink at people with Michelangelo, they don't know what to do in essence. We don't see him really competitively. But a few games that I did see with Michelangelo competitively, the games where he's clicking and it's just like I'm able to throw everything at you and you can't do anything, and your opponent messes up by not running away that one time, and they think, well, I can hit you back this turn when they should have ran. He feels just like Bullseye, unbeatable. Um, that Bruce Lee effect of you should have ran, you shouldn't have stayed near me. Michelangelo feels that way. He's definitely a throw the kitchen sink at him. I feel that. I think he's a wonderful character in that aspect. Again, not the highest win rate. So Michelangelo and Bullseye, not the highest win rate. Now Rosie's an edge case. Rosie's an edge case to full send because we see it in ladder right now. Um, I don't even know if it's this season's ladder or last. I don't know. She has like a positive win rate into Siri. And for those of you who obviously don't know, even though if you're probably watching this, you do know, Siri is a strong character. I definitely think Siri is a strong character. Um, she was the character of one of the tournaments recently that was, why do you guys keep letting her through? And why do you think you can beat her when her win rate's abysmally high right now? And your win rate against her is abysmally low. Um, but Rosie has a very inherent defect, which I don't want to say is a design error, because again, that makes the designers look bad, which is not true. She went through the competitive focus group. I don't think this was necessarily overlooked. I just don't think it was put enough. I don't even think I could say it was put enough time on it. There's a million excuses I can make to why this happened. It's not meant to be negative. It's just part of her kit, which as we go into the third slide, I'll go back to this and say, well, don't all these kind of fit there? And then you guys are going to probably have your own opinion. And you're like, yes. Um, Rosie, when all of her stuff is off, you can just, for lack of a term, can blow your load. I know that's terrible to say. Can just do all the stuff, all the fun things you want to do when all of her machines are off. So make it so that they can't afford to do that by full sending with her all the time. And I've seen that her win rate is much better on streams where she's played that way. Or when you read the after action report or you DM somebody, I've DM people like, why did Rosie win this? Why do you think Rosie win this? Well, almost all of them have the same answer. Well, I just kind of threw everything because I had nothing better to do and it worked. It stuck. Okay. Well, that's definition of full send character. When you see that she tries to play a slower game, and I'm sure there are matchups where she can play a slower game, but when you try to control the machines every time, a great example of this was, I believe, a Because I'm Batman game, and I don't know who his opponent was. I think Because I'm Batman, if you're watching this, I apologize if I got your stuff wrong, but I think you were playing against Rosie as Houdini. And it was looking pretty rough for everybody because your opponent was doing their best to make sure they didn't get down to the zero machines and was playing kind of a slower game, but tactfully also wasn't that slow. Was doing kind of both, but was, for what I consider a slow Rosie game, was doing that and keeping the machine at least that one of them or however many it needs up to do the feint. The minute, which eventually does happen in the game, it happens, it will happen, went to zero machines, Houdini won immediately. It was like a one turn kill. It was just oh, you don't have your thing, you're dead, goodbye. And it wasn't even necessarily that they killed him in that one turn kill. I know I just said that. It was that there's no way you can now win from now on. You've checkmated them essentially because of that one turn. So, because of that, don't let them get to that point. Don't let them get there. Just don't let them have it. I've said that that's the way to beat Raph. Well, if I'm playing Rosie into Raph, unless there's something I don't know, I'm going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at Raph because then can't unbridled me for a bunch because he has no cards to do it, or he died because he tried to save the cards to do it. Um, I'm hoping this makes sense, but these are the four actual. I kind of went over the whole roster really quickly and maybe too fast, but these are the four real. I'm going to full send, I see card, I attack. These are the four that come to mind for me. Now let's go next. Tempo characters, in my opinion, and why. this is the bulk. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, wait, these are the full Sen characters. That's the whole point of this video. Sinbad, probably one of my two favorite characters. Sinbad, I think, is a tempo character. He will attack you, and then you will try to kite him out, and then you will try to feint his big attack, and he will either win or lose based off that in a general statement of general gameplay. Or you start to realize that Sinbad attacks you and will kite you in a turn or two, or realize that Porter is actually one of the best sidekicks in the game because he has good draw for you when you need it, or good attacks, and can defend himself, and gives a closure of I can't reach you, which is Sinbad's most annoying thing to deal with. Um, Good sidekick killer, good everything really. Porter's very underestimated, I think, and MV Porter was the meme a long time ago, and I'm reviving it. Sinbad is not just icy card eye attack. That's what everybody thinks he is. That's how everybody plays him. Susie even brought it up recently that, well, that's the only character I know how to play well. Well, it's because his kit works that way too. Maybe he was made to be that way. I don't think he was. I think he was made to be, let me get to late game and now I'm hitting you with eights and I can run away if I need to. It just so happens he has a lot of draw and a lot of dead cards if you try to draw all the time. But if your stuff comes in that's not the draw, like if all your draw is buried, like let's say that your last 5 cards are the 2 riches and 3 porter attacks, you're gonna see that you're actually winning fatigue. Probably heavily because of your attack, and I'm able to move 4 spaces away to this other zone, and now you have to boost. And now you don't want to come next to me because if you do, then I'm going to attack you twice as Sinbad. And all this, it's stuff like that that he makes you waste cards that you don't want to waste in a lot of games. The Golden Bat one is very big. There's so many times where Golden Bat just runs because he's like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm going to play fatigue, and he's not going to kill me because I'm going to keep recurring the feint. And then you realize, oh crap, how do I actually kill Sinbad? It's tough. Um, there's a lot of that, and I think Sinbad's a perfect example of who we think should be full send and is not. Bruce the same way. Action gain, action gain, action gain. Throw it all, throw it all, throw it all. Well, are you really going to just throw it all blindly? Not really. A lot of people wait to see their chances of them hitting a feint. And then he gets his hop back, so melee fighters sometimes have a difficult time with him. Raptors, a lot of people think they're just face first. I don't know how many people have seen this. Somebody recently told me, actually, I shouldn't say somebody. I read recently, I want to say it was Hubaris said, well, Raptors is a great fatigue fighter. People don't realize it. And it took me a second to think about it, and then I rewatched a lot of gameplays. They really are fatigue fighters in a way. They whittle down your hand, and then they run away, and then both characters are forced to draw their defenses and offenses and everything. So the characters that do well in the Raptors, like somebody like Achilles, or somebody like Sinbad, or somebody like Genie, or somebody like, and sometimes Genie's not actually good at the Raptors. That's just I'm overgeneralizing. Um, Characters that are really good in the Raptors are the ones that have draw in their kit and can either take attacks or have escapes or have feints. So like Bigfoot, he's got all three of those, right? Like he could take an attack, he can escape with his hoax. He has a lot of feints to stop the action gain. Um, but Raptors have to decide, okay, I'm hitting him with my 7, which is the 5 boosted to a 2 because of the 2 Raptors. And then I don't have a lot of defenses, so I have to make sure that this is my time. I need to go in and do everything. But then I need to back away because my kit doesn't have any draw. That's a tempo fighter, in my opinion. Because the time you back off, like the Moon Knight matchup is a perfect example of this. When the Raptors back off of Moon Knight, both of them have like 2 cards in hand between Moon Knight and Raptors, and they both have to draw their whole deck for a while until they get it full hand up to 7. And then the Raptors go back in, and then Moon Knight has to deal with that all that over again. And then you're like, well, when does Moon Knight really ever attack? Because if he does attack, he doesn't have defenses now, and it's just a circle of suck. And Raptors really are great at tempoing down certain characters like Moon Knight, and that's why they have such a positive win rate against him. Moon Knight does have ways to win that. For those who don't know, use the one on offense, especially as Khonshu. It feels really good, man. Or the one on defense as Mr. Knight. Yeah, I know you're losing a card from the top deck, which could be a great one, but if you hit the Travelers or you hit the heal and you think, oh my god, I lost, then you draw 3 cards and realize you have a hand advantage, flip the gameplay. You'll win. But that's for another time. Achilles, I've heard that he's full send. Achilles has one of the best slow games in the world. If you can keep that pad alive, we don't need to get into that. Achilles is probably my favorite character. When Pat dies, he does feel very full sendy. Oh, I see card. I attack. Now I have new card because I hit over them. Blah, blah, blah. So on and so forth. The better Achilles games I win are the ones that I use my movement on offense to recenter and tempo it out and not double attack. Because if I do double attack this turn, even though I'm ended adjacent or they came up to me, if I double attack them this very turn because I have the opportunity, they're going to now move 6 spaces away and I don't have my boost 4. They're going to move 6 away on their next turn and I don't have my boost 4 to reach them. So I better attack them now, move to center, attack them next turn, move to center, and then attack them the turn after that, attack them 3 times instead of attack them twice and never be able to reach them again. Simple things like that we just don't realize. Once Pat dies, he's just straight up tempo. He's not full send. He's just straight up, I'm doing the thing. I can go down this list. The video's getting too long. Hit some highlights. Genie has a shit ton of draw, but he can whittle your hand down and combo you. That's it. He doesn't full send it rarely. Black Panther's the most controversial of this group, I think. He has insane draw. He runs out of damage quickly, in my opinion. And then you look at the deck size and you kind of like, I have T-Rex level draw. Well, you kind of did that to yourself. Black Panther's got a slow game that it's just not that great. I've seen it. I've seen it with my eyes. It's not that great, but when it goes off, you feel like a god. Wyatt Earp, he's could play a slow game also, but his tempo is I get to move away after I attack you, or I get to attack you twice. He's got the choice. I think that's wonderful. Raph, he, I would love to go into more of a deep dive about Raphael. Um, to summarize it as best I can, his kit would make you think that I want to slam everything in my hand, but really he wants to be slow about it and uses relentless on defense so that he can keep gaining it and then have a better hand for his final unbridled turn when you have nothing to stop it and then he just wins games. That's why he's got such a high win rate, I think, and why he's such a good character. Houdini, he takes attacks. We know this. He doesn't just slam everything. The only time he feels like he slams everything is when he has the one attack. I can't think of the name, but he has it, especially against Yananga. Ito's famous for just playing it face up. I started to do the same because I thought it was hilarious. There are certain characters where you could do that against as Houdini. That's where you feel like a full send character. You just play it face up, and then how are they going to respond? Do they defend? No. Now I get to use my big attack. They do respond? Okay, let me just use a chip attack and then move away. He wants to take attacks. He wants to use all his cards. He wants to full send, but he can't. He has to be tempo. He's got to warp across the map so that he can get his hand back. He's got to do this. He's got to do that. That's not a full send character. Something like T-Rex that attacks, tack, 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 is not I'm going to warp across the map and draw. That's not the same thing. Donatello, I think, kind of fills in here, but kind of doesn't. Characters that I feel like need to be full send because of their design. I don't want to make a shot at the designers. This is coming up very strong towards the restoration designers. These characters are bad because of their design, because there's a design flaw, blah blah blah. Not necessarily. Arthur, because his ability can be feinted, he wants to get it out as quick as he can. And I think you just want to slam everything with a boost most of the time, take attacks, do it again, but you always want to be near them. You always want to be hitting. You always want to be doing your thing. You always want to be low hand count so that when you do pull your Excalibur, you can hit with the 9, which now can't be feinted. So on and so forth. I think his design makes it that way. Robin Hood, too much draw on his kit. Because of so much draw, you would think he'd be a tempo fighter. He doesn't have the damage to match the draw, nor the defense. He's also I only have a 3 value defense as my max value. Defense, I do have all the boys to help me out. sometimes works. Maybe the Achilles matchup, maybe the Houdini matchup, but I've seen Houdini and Achilles win those all the time. Um, Sinbad the same way. I'm notorious for hating on Robin Hood. It's like my shtick. It's because of that exact thing, which is I draw too much as Robin Hood, therefore I need to be able to do my damage and kill them. The only slow game Robin Hood I know of off the top of my head that isn't the Houdini, Sinbad, Achilles, because you do that because of a defensive gameplay. The offensive slow gameplay, the only one I know of is Wukong. That's the only one I know you play slowly on offense. The rest of them you play slowly because of defense. Like Sinbad, you want him to run out of stuff on the boys, so you play slowly. Achilles, the same thing. Uh, Houdini, the same thing. You're trying to let them run out of shit so they can't do anything to you. So you're playing a slow defensive game. The only slow offensive game Robin Hood even closely has is Wukong. I think. I'm probably wrong. Again, this is all opinionated, it's subjective. Angel could fit into the full send because of his ability. Angel probably needs to full send because he's also biggest defense is probably a 3 unless you let me move with I think it's brooding and then shift, so I have a 5 defense. Um, but Angel also, excuse me, it's because of his design, right? Like he has to throw everything as soon as he can because he's going to run out of his deck. His regroup always draws 2. So you just have to. You're going to run out of deck. Spike, the same thing. Your design, too much draw, bro. As you can see, these last 3 characters, too much draw. That seems to be the problem. Willow. I can go more into Willow, but I don't want to. Willow's just I'm not going to say terrible design. I think she's a great design for somebody. She's a great 2v2. She's incredible in 2v2. That's all I can say. A lot of these characters are good in 2v2. A lot of it you'll see the draw characters good in 2v2. Buffy the same way, just doesn't have the damage to close games. I think we can all agree on that. That's her biggest problem. She doesn't have damage to close games. I think she has one of the highest amount of 4s in the game. Like just blank 4s. I think she's one of the highest. But she just doesn't seem to be able to close out games. Um Cloak and Dagger, I think we all can say that the split health, so it's 16 total up to a total of I think 24, right? Because you could split your 4 twice. I think it's 24 max, but um in theory you could split 4 twice because you could be at 1 health and give them 4 or something like that if memory serves. I could be wrong on that. Disregard me if I'm wrong, but um point being Cloak and Dagger, you have to throw everything as dagger, especially if you have it. As soon as you have it, you would think it's a tempo because I'm waiting for that opportunity. But it's more so I'm going to throw everything at you. I'm going to pressure your hand, and because I'm going to throw everything at you, because of my design, I have to do this, or else I lose. Now, Bullseye fits in that, right? Like T-Rex fits in that because of my design. Michelangelo, because of my design, I only have 3 cards. They fit in that. Yes, but I think these were meant to be that way. These characters were not meant to be that way. These ones are meant to be that way. Maybe not Rosie. These ones are not. Squirrel Girl. Everybody loves this character, and she's not that great. That's all. Oda, probably the worst 1v1 character, other than Spike, who has a actual design flaw. No offense, designers, but there's actually a problem with Spike. A genuine problem with Spike. Oda's probably the second one after that as probably one of the worst fighters. He has to throw everything or else he just kind of goes. But also, Oda's probably the strongest 2v2 character. I'm I'm saying that subjectively, obviously. He's not the best, but he's in the tiers of the best. You want him on your side. You're kind of not you're kind of scared when he's on the opponent's side. Philippa, the kit is made to go full send, but I don't think she needs to necessarily. But I threw her here because her best gameplay is I throw everything at you, and now I draw up to 4. I just think that's what it is. Mary, she has that problem of I didn't leave the zone. I've always done this, especially when she came out. This is how I play against Mary most of the time, and I know I'm giving my super secret to play against Bloody Mary. Well, good thing nobody really plays her. Um, did you leave the zone? I was playing her a lot when she came out because I loved her concept, and then I thought, wow, she just doesn't really do it for me anymore. Um, did she leave her zone? No. Is this a third action turn? No. The highest this will be is probably a 4. It's likely a max of 3 because the 4 is usually a defense because her defensive package isn't that great. So, because this is a 3, I will take. And then you take it's the double attack and you feel awesome. Okay, you take it's the boostable. She just used 2 cards to deal 4 damage or maybe 5 damage. You clap her back because she used 2 cards and she just crumbles. Um, the best Mary player I know is Chedicular Chad. Love you, bro. Sorry, I don't think she's that great, bro. I do think she's mostly full send. She's also mostly a I want to stay at 4 cards full send. She wants to end her turn at 4 cards. That way, if you attack her, she goes down to 3. Or if you don't attack her, you're just playing into her small but active long game. She wants to be at 4 cards all the time, I think. She doesn't want to be at 3. Everybody thinks, oh, she wants to be at 3 cards. No, you want to be at 4. That way, if you're attacked, you go down to 3, so on and so forth. Ms. Marvel, she's a character that I think is fun to play because she's got this cool ability, and she's got cool ability, like her cards have cool abilities based on her ability, which is, I think, almost every character, right? But she really leans into that whole I can attack from 2 spaces away with all our cards, and it's just not enough. So I got to throw everything as soon as I see it. So I'm at 47 minutes now, and this is now going to be an hour video. Thank you guys for sticking it out if you have this long. I don't expect to get many viewers past 20 minutes. So if you have stayed this long, I appreciate it. Let me first say that. I'm going to try to wrap it up as quick as I can now because we are towards the end. Um, that inherently is the roster. The rest, I really put some time into this. I know there are characters like maybe Pandora, maybe Leonardo, maybe Deadpool, maybe Strange, maybe Spider-Man, maybe all these characters you could say, well, maybe they fit into that. I don't disagree. But I think that for the most part, these characters play either normal or fatigue unmatched. There's probably a couple characters in here that don't. That's fine. I can be wrong. I'm okay with being wrong, guys. This is just they're not trying to slam their head or tempo you out. Bigfoot is the greatest character in the game as far as flexibility, in my opinion, because Bigfoot's the only character that I know of that has the stat check value, that has the long game value, and has the I can run you down full send value because of his ability. He's got 3 things. His card values are insane because of his stat check. He has a long game with his fatigue because of all the passes. And his attacks are big enough to where he can pass and run away. And he can hit you twice. One of them jumps him out of the zone that you're in, and I'll draw another card. So then I'll keep up my aggression next turn. It's he's so good in that aspect. I think he's one of the best characters in the game for that. I know his stats probably don't back it up, but he's one of them. So, I know I'm probably wrong in a lot of this. I know you're going to be like, well, this character fits into that thing that you said. Well, these two, why don't these just fit in here? Why do those not just fit there? Why does this character not fit here? Why is Black Panther not in this? I'm not saying you're wrong, guys. I'm trying to make a point that full send isn't just slam your head and these characters are bad. And that only these slow characters like Yananga, Wukong, Sherlock, Strange, who's not really a slow character but can be, Shredder, who wants to build his hand to a slow game and then unleash everything at once, Golden Bat, which is known for their slow gameplay, Leshen, that these are the best characters. As you'll note, they are very high tier characters. But how many times do you see, like, Leshen absolutely gets wrecked by Wyatt? Absolutely. Um, Bigfoot can just lose to Raphael a lot. Bigfoot can lose to Achilles. Bigfoot can lose to T-Rex because you threw everything. Bigfoot probably doesn't lose to most of these, though. Bigfoot's meant to beat T-Rex, but T-Rex probably has the best chance of all of them. Daredevil probably wants to go infinite most of the time. Moon Knight plays a slower. I'm going to hit you big on my Khonshu turns. I'm going to play slower on the rest. I can fatigue you because of my Khonshu ability, so on and so forth. Yanenga, probably the biggest value character in the game. They're all high tier, in my opinion. Medusa, also a great value character. Move 3 ranged with 3 melee sidekicks? What? Muldoon's the same way. Fatigue fighter. Muldoon can beat 90% of this roster, I feel. He has a tough time with Wyatt, but I've seen him win it. Tough time with Tomoe, but I've seen him win it. He, he beats most of these, I feel. He has trouble with Bullseye extensively. T-Rex wrecks him. I bet he beats Rosie. I haven't tried it, but I'm assuming. And I bet he beats Mikey. But what I'm getting at is these characters are good not because they're straight exhaustion, but because they have a better chance at gameplay than, say, these characters. Right? Like Robin Hood can beat Muldoon. If Yanenga plays the slowest game of her life, Robin Hood cannot kill Yanenga. She has to do an error. She has to do an error. But at the same time, Robin Hood beats Wukong in a slow offensive game. It's kind of stuff like that. And there are games where you're just going to draw straight red cards. We've all been there, right? And you have no defenses, and you're just like, why is my draw order so bad? You try to not blame it on draw order. I try to not. John kind of taught me that. John Zero Skater taught me, don't blame the game on draw order. It, it, it's a huge factor in certain games, but it's not all the time. Do what you can with what you got. I do believe in that. So there you go. Um, Next. Do I have the stats? Do I? To talk all this smack? Nah, I don't. Let's look at it. Let me move my little camera here, shall I? Give me a second here. I apologize for this. There we go. Um, I have a 51% win rate that's been downtrending for a while. I'm on a 2-loss streak. This is my overall win rate. This is my whatever. I don't know how to explain these. Frank, you do God of work if you're watching this, Frank. You really do. I've entered 36 tournaments. I don't know if this is like the best I've ever won in a row, maybe 7. I don't know. I'm not too sure. Let's take a look. The full send character, the ones that are supposed to be good because you slam your head on the table and so far, I have a 42% win rate with. 3 of these are against Bigfoot, which is a pretty rough matchup, but you can win. One of them is actually a win against Bigfoot against Fleeble Blobber. I remember that on Hanging Gardens because I had a crazy turn 2 that won the game immediately. 42% win rate's not that great for a character that's supposed to win by full send, I think. My Sinbad gameplay, who's a tempo fighter, one of my favorite fighters, it's a 55%, 12 and 10. I want to be clear about something. 2 tournaments ago, I believe, I played against Dielmy and lost in the top 16 to go to top 8. I was known for winning with Sinbad. Of these 12, I think 5 of them were then. So imagine me going from a 6 and 10 poor win rate and thinking, no, the tempo fighter is still the one to pick in this tournament. And I was 6 and 10. I had a negative win rate. And I flipped it around because I know that tempo is supposed to win here. It's not just slam your head. Achilles is my favorite fighter. 19 and 14, 58. I think that's pretty much everybody's, right? It's near 50. That's pretty much everybody's win rate with him. A lot of these losses are against Muldoon, honestly, or like hard counters. So like think Muldoon. Um, I want to even say about 7 of them are against Muldoon, half of them in tournaments. Against I think a couple of them are against John as Yananga, which I've played him a couple times in tournaments, and that's usually what ends up happening. Um, Stuff like that, where it's. I'm not trying to excuse myself as saying that I'm like, oh, I'm the best Achilles there is. I'm not. I'm not. I do think he's my favorite fighter, and I think he's a tempo fighter, and I love playing the tempo fighters, but I don't think they're full send. I think everybody excuses Sinbad to be just a I'm going to slam my head against a table, and maybe T Rex is that. But why is my win rate better with the tempo when I'm slamming my head against a table than this, who's a character that is made to slam my head against a table? Is it because her design's bad? No. She wins games she shouldn't win. I think we need to reevaluate, and the whole point of this video of what is full send. And I know I've been all over the place. I apologize. That's just how I am in my everyday life. I keep apologizing, and this is all objective. I added Yanenga and Bigfoot win rates here because these are the slower characters. Yanenga is my highest win rate of total matches games played. 77%. I'm 17 and 5. Three of those losses happened recently. One of them was against Dariko, who played on the Achilles as Achilles. She played as Achilles on the stage, the Shakespeare stage. I can't think of the name of the map. You all know it, but very bad map for Yanenga. The other one was against Luke. Same thing on that stage. It's just it's such a bad map for that. That single, those two solo spots at the top corner and the zonage makes it so bad for Yanenga. And you would think that with the four, there's those. I think there's a spot with the. No, they changed it to three. They used to be four at one point, but there used to be a quad spot, but now it's just a three. You'd think that with that middle spot, it'd be a good map for her, but it's not. Um, we saw Crockpot win as I think Bigfoot against Karma in one of the best games I've seen in a long time because of that map against Yananga. Bigfoot. I play a slower Bigfoot. I learned that from John. 65% win rate on 20 games. It's just how it goes. What I'm getting at is I know the slower characters are probably better. The higher tier characters are usually slower tier character. I'm sorry. I'm thinking too far ahead before I speak. The higher tier characters who play a slower game usually have a better win rate. I'm a part of that and I'm a living proof. So why have I been talking this whole time? It's because of characters like Sinbad right here that I feel like it's just being misinformation as a I'm going to slam my head against a table and just relook at it for me. That's all I'm asking. Wrap it all up with the big conclusion from Big Mike. I will lean in for this. This video is now approaching 1 hour. I apologize for that. I've been rambling nonsense for almost an hour. I really do apologize. And maybe none of you agree with me. Maybe you think, hey, this is just some dumbass who's just spewing shit on about Unmatched on the internet. That's okay. I don't disagree. I think there are better videos. I miss Matchup of the Month with John. I'm glad ZX49 is kind of bringing that back in his own way. I like that Seeky's getting the attention he deserves. I'm not looking for that much attention. What I'm hoping to do is just, and with this series that I would like to continue, um, I don't know if anybody will watch, but I'd like to continue it anyway. Take another perspective. Look at it in a different light. Any comments, questions, concerns, you can DM me. You can put it down in the comments here on this video. Let's talk about it in the actual Discords would be my favorite. Like, let's go to the UML, the Restoration Discord, and talk about it. Ping me. I'd love to hear it. I thank you all for watching if you have. Thank you for sticking out the hour if you've made it this long. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and time. Life is too short. My aunt just passed away on my mother's side. I wasn't that close with her, but it's still a family member. It hurts. Doesn't hurt as bad as, a parent, but always remember life's too short. This is one of those moments. Enjoy life. Don't be so angry at everything. You don't have to hate everybody, stuff like that. You don't have to hate my opinion, but you can think I'm wrong. Let's talk about it. Thanks again. I hope that I've opened your eyes a little bit to the tempo game of Unmatched versus Full Send, and I look forward to talking to you all again. Have a great one. Bye.